Welcome back, folks. Sheepdog Smokey here, and we're seeing yet again a move to basically make Americans dependent upon the government. As we're watching, and I've seen several reports of this, hospitals are furloughing, laying off, or just outright firing staff because they don't have enough patients. When orders came down from on high that it was just emergency and essential procedures only, with some states just saying what they deemed essential to be, excluding joint replacement in the case of Michigan. Hospitals, of course, are not going to have the same income as they do, so their staff is going to take a hit. Now, yes, at the beginning, there were more ER cases, there were COVID cases, or so we're told. But now, as that is petering off, hospitals are begging to reopen for normal business because they're having to lay people off. But as this is happening, I'm hearing reports that the government, the Democrats in particular, want to fast track visas for foreign healthcare workers. Americans are losing their jobs, and the Democrats want to bring in foreign workers to take over those jobs. They are pushing for the legalization of any and every drug they can push for the legalization of. This is a move straight from Brave New World. I was talking with my father earlier. They are smart enough to realize going direct to Orwellian control would result in a Hunger Games style revolt where they would have to probably nuke a major portion of the country to cow the rest. And they don't want to do that because that kills off worker drones. That kills off people who can have their vote bought. So they're going for Huxley. They want you high, they want you home, dependent on them for your paycheck, so that they can say every 2 years, now you have to vote for me again because this guy's not going to want you paid like I am. And it is extremely frightening and disheartening because to see the government openly tell the citizens that they should be welcoming of tyrannical control of every aspect of their life, and to see so many citizens actually praise it, worries the living hell out of me. I graduated high school 25 years ago this year. In fact, in 15 days, it will be 25 years to the day that I graduated. Graduated on my 18th birthday, walking the stage. And even at that point, there was a push to indoctrinate the student body. I can remember in my government class, one of our projects that we had to do for partial credit in the class was to get someone, government official, former or current, or military or whatnot, to come and speak to the class. Being JROTC, I was able to get the police chief to agree to come and speak to our class. And we happened to have been going over Bill of Rights, and we were going to begin discussing the Second Amendment the day that I got him to come. My teacher was excited that finally someone in the class would stand and actually take part in a debate on the Second Amendment. I had proven that when told I will be debating a topic, I'm very good because I researched the living crap out of it. And he asked what stance I took. And she said he wants to take the pro stance. And the chief looked at her and said, that's my stance. I can't debate against the Second Amendment. And sadly, we have people now in positions of power who are adamant that the Second Amendment means that the military alone, or military and law enforcement alone, should have firearms. And that's in 2.5 decades that this has happened. I can remember in economics, sorry, tongue-tied there. In economics, we were given a bank account of a set amount of money, told to invest, create a business. We would go forward through the class, and there would be random things that happen, such as, lose your inventory in a fire. For those who didn't choose to be investors only, that could hit pretty hard. I mean, we were told, choose where you're going to build a business, what business you're going to build. You have to come up with every aspect of it. This is a semester long, so for the entire class project. And for example, if someone builds a restaurant on the beach in Florida, a hurricane can wipe them out. I chose to build a business in Texas. I know Texas. And I was a photography nut at the time, so I had opened a photo studio in Minilab. And tornado comes through, collapsed my building. It was an individual project. And while that's meaning my grade is my responsibility, we're all friends, so we talked. And there were several of us that invested, 15, 20% while we were slowly making plans for the business and letting that 15, 20% grow. Those who chose, I'm just going to invest everything and let the stock market make my money. They should have seen it coming. She's going to say stock market crash. And when it did, it wiped out my investment, but I had the nest egg of the dividends it had been paying, because she would have us go through one semester over the course of a 10-year period. I'd invested about 20% of what she gave me. That had already made back more than 4 times what I invested. And I had that in a bank account, not in the stock market. So when the stock market crashed, my nest egg was there. And I put, I believe, 10% of my nest egg back in the market. And it slowly began to grow, as it will. And I was able to, when she said a tornado not destroyed my building, I was able to rebuild the business, move to another location, all that, with the rest of the nest egg. This is how the economy works. But we have people who are being told, no, the economy should be run by the government and no one else. If you don't want to work, they should pay you. They should mandate that you can't work more than 32 hours a week, but you can't have your pay cut from what it is while on a 40-hour-a-week job. They're adamant that the Second Amendment is for muskets only, so you can't own your pistol or rifle or shotgun, but the police and military can own whatever they want to be sent to subjugate the people. They praise the government for trying to legalize mind-altering substances so they can keep Americans in a stupor while saying, here's your little pittance, go buy your ramen noodles and be happy. They demand that this, and this, and this is a right, while demanding that actual rights be given up. I'm hearing rumors pretty regularly that some governments are, and granted, many of them are going very slowly and doing it responsibly, but it will continue, pushing for internet access as a right. And that is just one step below the government taking over all ISPs and making it a public utility. And I can tell you, even living in an area where we are on a co-op program, meaning they are not allowed to earn a profit, they return their profits to their customers at the end of the year. So they pay their salary, their utility bills, their rent, their taxes, all of this other stuff. At the end of the year, anything they've made has to be returned to the customers. But when you run something like that, innovation and upgrading is not something you really focus on. I can tell you, I would fight to avoid moving into town at this point. And I will fight if they try to annex us and make us part of the city so they can tax us but not provide any services. And even knowing that, I long for the internet reliability that my friends and coworkers who live in town have. If it rains more than just a spring shower, my internet goes down. Lightning storm in the area, internet goes down. High winds, internet goes down. We live in Tornado Alley. You would think they would know they need to build their relay stations and such to withstand these things. But still, I can count on 3 to 5 days every spring without internet service because I know it's going to go down because of general Texas weather. And because they're not allowed to profit, they have no money to invest in upgrading materials. Now, granted, they are looking at ways to do that at all times so that they can say, we're not profiting, this is an upgrade so that we can provide a better service, but it's very difficult to do because they are so regulated. I lived in this same area when deregulation hit telephones. And I was extremely young. I've had to go back and look it up. But while prices went down, service didn't go up, and in some cases went down. Because if I live in a Ma Bell area and you live in an AT&T area, but you have Ma Bell and I have AT&T, then I'm actually having to depend on Ma Bell to come service a customer they're getting nothing from. And yes, AT&T would have to pay to use their lines. It's the same when deregulation hit the electricity market. I actually worked for a retail electric provider after deregulation. Aside from having to read about 6 minutes worth of scripted stuff that, thankfully, I was at least allowed to tell the customer, don't hang up until I ask you, how do you understand this? I am required to read this from a script, and I have to make sure that you hear it. So I need you to stay on the line and stay quiet. Otherwise, I have to cancel your order. Then I would read the script, and at certain points, I would prompt them to, do you agree to this? Do you agree to this? On and on and on. And North Texas, DFW, is where TXU was the provider for the longest time. Unless you lived out in the county where you had a co-op, you were TXU, you had no choice. When deregulation hit, they had to split into TXU, which is the retail electric provider, and Encore, the service company. Now, TXU owned them both, so TXU is still making money off Encore. But technically, and this is on paper only, and it works the same for Houston Latin Power, which became Reliant, and then their sub-company for the line servicing. Technically, TXU buys its energy from Encore at the same price that Reliant or any other company can buy from. They then sell that energy to customers and recoup their money plus a profit. It put so much red tape in the way that it made life difficult for everyone involved. No one more so than the customer. Because I can guarantee you, I had people who did not believe it when they would call me. And they would say, well, I'm not a TXU customer, but Reliant told me I had to call you because the meter is blinking and saying replace. It just started putting in new meters. And I said, yes, it's not an outage, so they can't report this. If your power had gone out, they can report that. But this is something different. And I had to transfer them directly to Encore. And, I mean, imagine that. Prior to deregulation, you simply call one number, and it's one company. But the government decided that these monopolies are making too much money. And they're looking at it again with companies like Amazon or any number of other things where they're trying to force businesses to bow to them. This is the product of 20 to 40 years of slowly upping the level of indoctrination in schools so that now they have a massive swath of the country that believe Bradbury, Orwell, and Huxley wrote how-to manuals for government, not cautionary tales. They actually believe that Heinlein's science fiction novel, Starship Troopers, is a cautionary tale about the military-industrial capitalist complex. It's not. It's a science fiction novel where bugs decided to bomb the Earth, and the Earth decided we're not going to take it. It's sci-fi. Get over it. But that's the dangerous point we're at. And it is at a tipping point, if not now, very, very soon. And it will lead to just hell. Because the day the government actually has enough people cheering them on to subjugate the country is the day that you will see entire swaths of the country declare, we're no longer part of the U.S. since you've declared the Constitution void, you've declared the government void. Military members will walk off their post, and they'll be replaced by thugs who will happily kill anyone the government says to. It will make the Civil War look like a tea party where somebody spilled the jam. And I really don't want to see that. I've rambled long enough. You can probably hear it in my voice. Allergies being what they are, this time of year being what it is. It's fun. But I couldn't avoid talking about this. And I want to know what your thoughts are. As always, though, in the comments, be civil. We're here to talk, discuss, dissent, and debate. Not scream and yell like toddlers. So please do so. Make sure to like and share the video to expand the conversation so that we can bring more people in to have that good, wide debate. And make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, not only so you're notified of new content as it posts, but also so you're part of the giveaway at 500, 1,000, and 1,500 subscribers. Other than that, let me know what your thoughts are on this. As always, until next time, everyone have a wonderful day.